Hello dear viewers, and welcome back to our channel. We've got some bombshell news from the royal family today. In heartbreaking news just an hour ago, Buckingham Palace has confirmed the king has taken action to formally remove Prince Andrew's titles, including the style, titles and honors of Prince Andrew. Specifically, his titles of Prince, Duke of York, Earl of Inverness, Baron Killyleagh, and the style His Royal Highnesses. The honors affected are Andrew's Order of the Garter and Knight Grand Cross of the Victorian Order. Prince Andrew will now be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. His place in the line of succession has not changed. King Charles's 5-year-old brother, formerly known as Prince Andrew, remains 8th in line to the throne despite his prince title being removed. The couple's daughters, Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice, will retain their titles. Their Majesties wish to make clear that their thoughts and utmost sympathies have been and will remain with the victims and survivors of any and all forms of abuse. This time, the palace had to get it right to restore public confidence, and they have done so. The king has made clear that he is calling the shots. He's condemned his brother's serious lapses of judgment and, crucially, said publicly that his and the Queen's sympathies have been and remain with the victims and survivors of abuse. The palace has also confirmed that the former Duke of York will vacate his Windsor home, RoyalLodge, where he has resided for the past 2 decades. We understand that Prince Andrew will move to a property on the private Sandringham estate, with the relocation taking place as soon as practicable. Any future accommodation will be privately funded by the king. The exile puts Andrew Mountbatten Windsor 100 miles from other royals and, helpfully, for King Charles and Prince William, out of the easy view of paparazzi and gawpers. He will now live on the dank and often windswept estate far from London and the life he once lived, with plenty of time to reflect on his fall. As a bonus, the 20,000-acre Sandringham estate is where one of the key moments in his slide into disgrace began, when he hosted Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell for a shooting party there in 2000. Banishment to the estate is a double humiliation. Sandringham is where the extended royal family have for generations gathered for Christmas. But Andrew has already reportedly been disinvited from the celebrations, leaving him as a spurned relative who will be able to see his family only from a distance, without taking part. That family includes his 2 daughters and 4 grandchildren, who still appear to be part of the king's fold. Additionally, seeing those grandchildren just became more difficult. They live in London, which is 25 miles from his former home in Windsor but as much as 3 hours from Sandringham by road. The alternative is public transport, but Andrew has never been seen on a normal train in his life. The developments required legal and constitutional expertise and support from the wider family to bring about. The king initiated the process and Andrew did not object, it is understood. The government was consulted and made it clear it supports the decision as constitutionally proper. The Prince of Wales is also understood to be supportive of the king's decision, as is the wider royal family. This is the move that many had called for, and the king had to act decisively in response, however difficult it may have been for him as a brother. It's a marked change from Andrew's statement announcing he would no longer use his Duke of York title, in which he suggested it was his decision to do so. Sarah Ferguson, who also gave up her courtesy title, Duchess of York, earlier this month, has resided with her ex-husband Andrew for a number of years. The former couple, who married in 1986 and divorced 10 years later, have remained on amicable terms since their separation. It understands Sarah will make her own arrangements. RoyalLodge, nestled deep in Windsor Great Park, is a magnificent 30-room home that sits on 90 acres of parkland and dates back to the 1832. It has long been associated with the heart of the royal family. If Andrew had occupied the property for the full 75-year term, his initial outlay would average about $138,000 per year, a fraction of the market rent for a 90-acre royal estate. The property includes sweeping lawns, 6 staff cottages, private security, and a police post, all within Windsor Great Park's restricted boundaries. It was home to Queen Elizabeth II's mother for half a century, a place of afternoon teas, corgis, and garden parties, until she died in 2002. It was told this week that Andrew was being uncooperative about leaving RoyalLodge, but pressure to evict him from the home was unrelenting. It may have taken longer than the public would have liked. There have been difficult legal and constitutional issues to consider, but the royal family will be hoping this draws a line under the latest slew of damaging headlines so they can focus on their work and the future. If they hadn't been under pressure to leave RoyalLodge, I think they would have carried on as before. But if she does go into a separate property, be it abroad or be it in Australia with her sister or something, or if she moves into Adelaide Cottage or if she moves into a house in London or whatever happens, I think if they do actually physically live apart, I think that could be the beginning of the end for their relationship, in the sense that I don't think their relationship will be quite the same. The publication reports that he has shut himself off from the outside world inside the sprawling Windsor home, where he continues to live with his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson. Though divorced since 1996, the two remain under the same roof at the 30-room mansion. Here, the vast layout allows them to live apart yet close. Andrew's retreat did not begin with this latest storm of scrutiny. He has kept largely out of sight for several years, with his last public appearance taking place on September 16 at the Requiem Mass for Catherine, Duchess of Kent. Beyond that, he has rarely left the Windsor estate, venturing out only for quiet drives or twice-weekly horseback rides. Andrew is keen to stay in Windsor so that he can continue to ride on the estate's grounds, but he may struggle to afford the rent of even the smaller properties, such as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's former home, Frogmore Cottage. For royal watchers, the sense of déjà vu is striking. Royal expert Jenny Bond compared the fallout from Andrew's scandal to the turmoil that followed Princess Diana's death, calling it a huge crisis for the royal family. She said, "It's gone on and on. It's been relentless." While the princess's passing drew compassion, Andrew's saga invites condemnation. I have said even as bad as Diana's death because, as tragic as that was, this is such a sordid tale, and I know Andrew has denied all the accusations, Bond explained, warning that its persistence could undo much of the stability Charles has worked to restore. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's former UK base, Frogmore Cottage, has been getting another makeover amid the latest reports about Prince Andrew's possible move there. Pictures showed workers at the property in Windsor, which had recently been refurbished by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex for £2, $4 million. The prince, who relinquished his royal titles and honors earlier this month, had reportedly previously refused to move to Frogmore Cottage when it was suggested as an option before the Epstein scandal climaxed. But the latest updates have sparked fury among the public, who are increasingly asking for the royal to move out of RoyalLodge, for which he has a private tenancy agreement with the Crown Estate. And now, if the palace thinks the public will be mollified by Andrew's penance of having to move into an immaculately done-up five-bedder, whose architectural digest-ready interiors were presided over by HRH-turned-lifestyle content creator, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, I have a bridge to sell them. Nearly 2 weeks ago, the king clearly thought he'd found a tidy solution, pushing his brother to renounce his Duke of York title and order new letterhead. But it just had a let-them-eat cakishness to it, a king profoundly disconnected from his citoyenne's reality and view of things. The fact the king thought that making Andrew have to suffer through life as only a prince was an adequate punishment for his crime of being besties with a child sex trafficker leaves me at a loss for words. Just 10 days ago, in official briefing notes distributed to the media after Andrew said he would stop using his titles, the King's office said Andrew's tenure at RoyalLodge was not up for debate as part of the new settlement, a sentiment which left William in despair when he saw it. William's brutal threat to Andrew's children is also a reflection of the simple fact that it would make no financial sense whatsoever for Andrew to move out of RoyalLodge if he only did so under the terms of his lease. One source told the prince was left in despair when he laid his eyes on the media briefing notes issued by the palace a week ago last Friday, which said Andrew would be staying on at RoyalLodge.